Tuesday 25th of April 2023 at Firle. Initially I'd driven to Bo Peep, but there were signs up to show that the car park was closed up there. So I got out of the van at Firle and took a look at the wind and the weather. The wind was pretty much coming onto the hill at Firle, so it was probably actually a better option at Firle than it was at Bo Peep. So it was quite lucky that the car park was closed there. The wind was pretty strong. A couple of others there just thinking about setting up. So got the kit out of the van and walked over towards the launch. Yeah, launched quite nicely in the relatively strong wind, pushed out forwards and then headed east over the wooded area towards the trig point, and then probably flew there for about 20 minutes to half an hour in relatively strong winds towards the trig point, just waiting to see which way the wind was going to take us and where was the better side to fly, whether it was the Firle side or the Bo Peep side of the trig point. So eventually carried on flying on the Firle side of the trig point and started to get some good height. So this was my second flight on the new Gin Explorer 2. I hadn't planned to fly it quite as soon as I did, but unfortunately I managed to put my Gin Sprint into a barbed wire fence at Bo Peep, so the wing was is still currently at the loft being fixed. So I took the new wing out, really liked it, got on really well. In fact, the first flight with it, I flew from Mount Caban on my longest cross country so far, 18 kilometres to Black Boys, which is almost up towards Heathfield. So I was planning to try and push forward as far as possible. I got pretty much towards the over the top of the A27 and towards Mount Caban, but not close enough to head west, in my opinion, at the time, to try and do a cross country. So kept getting some good height, got to around about 2,000 feet a few times, but when I was thermaling up, I was going back with the winds, back towards the hill. So decided to kind of stay in that area for a little while in case the wind turned to east. Now, is this the best fun we can have? 2 hours. And I've just left the ridge, but it's been good. Just constant lift at the moment. Just heading over the A27, Caban to our left, and fell back down to the right there, seeing the distance behind us. So just trying to get some lift to get up over Lewis. 10:30, don't really want to start shifting west till after 11 o'clock really. Yeah, a couple of times lost lift completely, so had to head back towards the hill, going back with the wind, so going back pretty quickly. But the Explorer really looked after us, got us back to the hill, skimmed over the top of the trees, and decided this time to turn towards the left, towards Bo Peep, and scratch up the hill to regain some height. As I was coming in towards the hill, I actually put my feet down at one point, thinking I may have to land there, but managed to stay in the air, got back to the top of the hill, and then regained the altitude. As you can see, it was a stunning day, blue skies pretty much all the day. Wind was a little bit strong, coming in from the north initially and then sort of turning a little bit more northeast. Fantastic views from up above the South Downs, on top of the South Downs Way. Bo Peep over to the right, and then Firle to our left. Lewis to the distance to the west, and Eastbourne in the distance to the right. Managed to get the height back up and get back to a decent height above the hill, ready to push back out again, hopefully find some more thermals to get some good height. The yellow wing just in front of me, Martin Long, soon gets up above me, finds some good lift just in front of where I am there, so I head out towards where he is and also pick up the same portion of lift. Yeah, I was really enjoying flying the new Gin Explorer 2, picking up the thermals quite nicely, staying in them pretty well, getting some good altitude. So really pleased with the new wing. Goes quite nicely with the Supair Delight 3 pod harness. So yeah, got a nice setup at the moment that really enjoy flying. Really comfortable and nice at last to get some good height. And here again, just up above Martin, and stayed above him for quite some time. I think a couple of minutes or so before he sort of got up to where I was, and then beyond.
Sure it'd be above us soon. See how long it takes. Pretty much hit the core here, which is good. To get to cloud base. Cloud base.
So again, at this point, lost some height, didn't pick up the thermal quite so well, so headed back to the hill to try and regain some height. So back towards the launch at Firle, and then heading west down towards the Fly Sussex Bowl and Beddingham, towards where the pylons are at Firle. So looking at other people's flights after I'd finished looking at their track logs, I could see that other people had managed to get up to around about 3,000 feet, so about 1,000 feet higher than I'd managed. So something to work on there to try and get up to cloud base, get a bit more altitude, to give myself a bit more flexibility to perhaps possibly get some longer cross-country flights in from there. Yeah, I managed to find Boomerang Pete Lacey in the sky, thermaling up over the top of Firle, so followed him for a short time, and then he managed to find a really nice thermal over the back of Beddingham towards the Fly Sussex Bowl. He pushed on towards the coast and eventually landed in Peacehaven, so a nice little XC there for the Boomerang.
Hey, Boomerang!
So in hindsight, I should have followed Pete, gone up in the thermal towards Newhaven, Peacehaven. Possibly we could have got as far as Saltdean, heading with the northeasterly wind. But I decided to turn back towards the hill, and because the wind was more easterly, didn't really get any lift whatsoever. So that was kind of the end of my flight for the day. So drifted down back towards the South Downs to find a safe landing spot. Yeah, all in all, really enjoyable days flying. Learnt a lot from it, not only flying my new wing, the Gin Explorer 2, and getting used to its characteristics, but also flying in quite interesting conditions. Strong wind on launch, relatively strong wind up high, some pretty good thermals to get into and use as best as possible. So managed almost 3 hours in the air, so extremely happy with that. nice landing at the end, nice safe landing, and then about a half an hour or so walk back to Firle, back to the van to get a coffee.